So recording has begun. Thank you everyone for registering and joining me today. And today, just in case we're not sure on what meeting we're in, we're covering BX manufacturing, the make-to-order functionality within the product. My name's Tyson McMurran. I'm a CPA, CMA, and I'm based out of Stonewall, Manitoba, Canada, and I do partner enablement for the Americas for the most part. On the BX products, I do jump into English-speaking world on some partners and customers, but for the most part, from a partner enablement perspective, my job is to look after the Americas. If you need to get a hold of me, below is my contact information. Protomix ourselves, we were founded in 2004, and for those of you that were in the meeting at the beginning, there was a castle at the beginning slide, and that is our headquarters, which is in Perk, which is near Brussels. And we also have bricks and mortar locations in 2 other countries, Atlanta, Georgia, USA, and also in Budapest, Hungary. We're right in the downtown district of Budapest. And we have people like myself splattered all over the world in different time zones, making us truly a global company. Protomix ourselves, we're part of a larger organization called Mobilitas, and we're the SAP Business One practice within that company. And we have offices in Mannheim and Columbia, Maryland. For those of you that don't know Mobilitas, they do the large SAP or the ECC suite. And I say that we have a sister company down below there. And what I mean by sister company is we're backed by a company called Keystone Capital, and Keystone Capital wanted to invest in supply chain, and they did that through both the software side of the Mobilitas and also through the hardware side of our sister company, Peak Rising. So if you have any hardware requirements, our colleagues at Peak Rising can certainly help you out with that, and they work with collaborators throughout the world. So Protomix, we're 100% focused on SAP Business One, and our objective is to have shop floor to top floor integration within the Business One space. So anything that happens on the floor real time, it's getting updated in SAP Business One. And we truly specialize in add-on development and global add-on development. And originally we did that through our PDMX suite, which is our distribution, our advanced warehousing and distribution package. And in November 2015, we entered an exclusive distributor agreement with BX Software, and recently in 2016, we have acquired the intellectual property of BX Software. So it is a product that is owned by Protomix now. We're a global software partner. Like I said, we have people everywhere, and we were the EMA Regional Partner of the Year. We're members of the SAP Partner Advisory Council, and as I said, global. So combined, we have over 300 installations in 30 countries on 6 continents, and we work with about 40 SAP Business One partners worldwide on a day-to-day basis. This is our product offering. With the acquisition of BX Software kind of dropped in, a lot of partners and customers have been kind of asking what we're focused on. So this kind of will help you kind of see where Protomix is positioned. And we really want to focus on 2 areas, one being production and the other being warehouse logistics. And we do that through the PDMX suite of products and through the BX suite of products. And you can see that, you know, from an entry level to advanced, we have functionalities that are kind of bridging requirements throughout it. If you're interested in any of these products, we do have webinars kind of on a weekly basis, bi-weekly basis for most of these products. So I invite you to, you know, go to our website, reach out to myself or Luke or Joris or Scott, and find out when they are and get yourself registered. There are landing pages on our website, but you know, if you need to know where those landing pages are, by all means, just reach out to us and you know, join the webinar and see what's new with the products and where we're going. So today, as I said, I'm not focused on doing a pitch about Protomix. My main focus is to talk about make to order. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of BX manufacturing just so that you understand the foundation of how the make to order works. If you want to dive deeper into BX manufacturing, I invite you to join our weekly webinar and or go out to our YouTube channel and watch some of the existing presentations that are out there in regards to how BX manufacturing extends into Business One and what it does. But what we ultimately do is enable multi-dimensional planning within SAP Business One. And we do that through getting visibility through MRP or the MTO functionality to look at lead times, to look at capacities, and to look at capabilities within our organization and pull all of that together and truly give you a 360-degree view of what's happening in your business and also what if scenarios when you run MRP and also when we run the MTO. So when we talk about multi-dimensional, here's an example of, you know, kind of like a job shop, machine shop type organization where there's a lot of things that are kind of going on as far as things that are going into production orders. There's operations like cutting and tooling and fabricating and assembling, and there's raw materials that are going into that. There's components that are going into that. There's sub-assemblies. There's things like outside operations, like outsourcing, which we plan on having a separate webinar in the future on just how to handle outsourcing within SAP Business One using the BX manufacturing. But ultimately, what I want you to understand here is that these production requirements could be materials, they could be work centers, they could be skilled labor, or it could be a tool like a die or a jig or those types of things that has a capacity to it and or a lead time that's going to affect our planning. So when we talk about operations, what becomes really important to understand is that we have an operation at the bill of material level, and I'm going to go into the bill of material in a minute or two here, and you'll actually be able to kind of see how this all ties together. But we have an operation which could be, you know, cutting, and then we have a feature which could be bandsaw cutting, and then we have a resource which could be, you know, bandsaw 1, bandsaw 2 that are capable of doing that work. And then deeper to that, we might have an operator that is like a bandsaw operator, or, you know, in the example of welding where you might have licensed welders for TIG welding and those types of things. You know, that labor component or the tool or the die that needs to be used within that resource of you know, the welding station 1 or, you know, the bandsaw 1, like I talked about, we can tie together those relationships of both the work center capacity and also the labor and or the tool. And all of that gets fed into the MRP and the make to order scenario, and it kind of pulls everything together. So again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the algorithm and logic today of it, because today we're solely focused on make to order. And when we talk about make to order organizations, we're talking about companies that need to be able to quickly make a new item, modify that item, calculate a sales price, execute the production order and any long lead purchased items on that, and get visibility to where in the shop those types of things are. So that's what I'm focusing on today, is the make to order and how sales gains visibility to status of the order, and how finance can know that prices are being calculated properly. You know, our estimating is going to go a little bit faster, and everything's tied together into that kind of shop floor to top floor integration where if something happens on the shop floor, everybody in the organization knows what's happening. So this is an example of operations, features, and work centers. This doesn't get into labor and tools, but you can see, and what I want you to understand here is that we can have a one-to-one-to-one relationship, or we can have a many-to-one-to-many, or a many-to-many-to-many relationship. And the algorithm is going to look at all of those different capacities and rules and come up with an ultimate flow for our shop. And I'll show a little bit of that today, but again, our BX Manufacturing webinar and presentations focus more on how the algorithms kind of drive all of this, but I will jump into the bill of material and show some of that. So let's go into business one now, and I'm just going to show you a bill of material and how the bill of material kind of interacts, and then we'll jump into cost calculation and then sales order execution. So I'm in business one here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the inventory item master data here, and I'm going to call up an item that I have in business one right now. And I talked about in make-to-order organizations how important it is for us to be able to quickly create an item that we're making, get that item costed or estimated, and then have a look at the lead times and the capability of our plant or shop in order to get that work done and give a available to promise date to a customer, and then execute the production orders and purchase orders for the items. So what I'm going to show you here, and the reason that I have user-defined fields exposed, is you'll see this field over here called MTO planning and yes or no. And this becomes really important when I get into the bill of material, because what happens is when I run the make-to-order scenario, it's going to look at all of the items that are involved in the sales order and then also within the bill of material, and it's going to look to see if any of those items are make-to-order planning, and if it is, it's then going to look at the planning data and go, well, is it something that we're making or buying? And then it's going to look at, our purchasing data to see if we have a preferred vendor, if it's something that we're buying, and it's going to kind of, make all of these recommendations. So this item here, you can see, is just an SI 915, which I have no idea what it is. It's something that we make, and normally I make a lot of them. But what becomes important is I have a bill of material tied to this. And you can see this bill of material has some fields that are not native to SAP Business One. So again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on kind of the manufacturing slant of things, but there are three key things that you need to understand within this screen. One is that we've added a concept of a row type, which allows us to define a little bit deeper into the bill of material, different things like byproducts and unfinished materials and unfinished products. We can have inventory moving in and out of production orders, and we can also have costs and phantoms tied into our production order. The next thing is just that there's a routing sequence kind of figured out to this. So you'll see here that I have a shopping cart and then this cogs, and then I have some shopping carts and then this spiky little factory and then some cogs. Well, the cogs are operations, which are things that I'm doing, and the shopping cart are materials that I buy, and the spiky item is a subassembly. And what we've done is we've added logic that this operation here consumes the materials above it. So it gives us a routing sequence that this operation is going to use these materials, and this operation is going to use this material, and then this operation is something that we're going to do first, and then this operation is something that we do second. And then within these operations, again, I won't spend a lot of time on this, but within these operations, we can set up, make ready time or before time, setup time, and then we can have a job time, like a run time for our job, and then we can have a base of, how many units that actually takes. So This is where if you're manufacturing thousands, you can say in an hour I make 10,000 units, or you can say it takes me 25 minutes to make an each. And then there's, can I overlap these operations within the bill of material, and then can I run these parallel, being that can I run them through multiple work centers if possible. So if you look here, you can see that this cutting operation, I use a press clicker, and then that's a work center. And then to that, we have our actual work centers that are capable of doing that. And then those work centers can have resource features tied to it. So again, I can have work centers and tools and employees tied in at this level, and I can also tie them in at the operation level, which I'll show you. And then all of this ties through into a shift plan so that we can look at availability of our departments, so that when the algorithms run, it's looking at what we're actually running for our shop. So we can have different work centers that work different shifts. So if you have a paint booth that runs 24 hours a day, and cutting, for example, works 8-hour days, we can set that up through having multiple different types of shift plans here, and then defining those across to the different departments. So again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but it's important to understand the foundation of it, because all of this drives into my available to promise date, because it's going to look at how much time is this taking, what feature is it that we're doing, what work centers are capable of doing that, and then all of that's going to aggregate into kind of an availability within it. So you can see here where I can add tools and employees and constraints directly into the operation. Now, in a make-to-order organization, one of the biggest challenges is battling Excel spreadsheets. And the reason that everybody likes Excel spreadsheets is that it's really easy to, copy an estimate and pull it together. The problem with Excel spreadsheets is that it doesn't give you visibility to capacity. It doesn't give you the ability to cut a purchase order, and tie everything together. So that's where I'm going to show you all of this in about 4 minutes. And that's, if I go into this item, this sheet, you can see here that this sheet is tied to make-to-order planning. And over here, I have a preferred vendor that we're going to buy this from. So you're going to see that when I execute my sales order and I do the make-to-order planning, it's going to make a recommendation to buy this sheet, because that item is part of the make-to-order planning. So this could be a long lead item for some of your prospects, or if you're a customer, it just gives you that visibility to do those types of things. Now here, the sub-assembly, you can see this threaded end here. If I open up this threaded end and look at this item, you can see that this item is make-to-order planned as well. And then if we look a little bit deeper, you can see that I have another sub-assembly of an end fitting. And this is a bill of material as well. But this item is not, this one is make-to-order planning. So we should get a recommendation for make-to-order on that as well. I've changed that recently. So you can see that this gets really deep and complex. And what this allows us to do is consume things that are assembled or sub-assembled, and then pull them in, or we can have it pull all of these different things together into the aggregated plan, as far as we need to do this production order, then this production, and then this production order. So in this threaded end example, you can see here that we're going to have to make this end fitting, then we're going to have to make this threaded end, and then that threaded end is going to get assembled into this SI915 product. So again, very complex, but once you see how all of this works and how easy it is to do things, it's going to be fairly simple to replace those Excel spreadsheets with the BX manufacturing, with the make-to-order functionality. So there's two things that I want to build upon that are going to kind of clarify that. One is that for me to go in and create a new bill of material every time and add in this operation and go in and define all of these times and define the feature is time consuming, and most customers won't do it. So what becomes really important is during an implementation, we would work with the customer And when I say we, either us helping you with the implementation or yourselves, working with the customer in order to do this, we can define these operations as a standard, and then we can just tweak them in order to get them to meet the requirement of the specific thing that we're making. So you can see I have all of these different manufacturing operations here that are defined, and then if I pull this A1004 into the bill of material, all of that is going to pull into the bill of material for me very quickly. So if I go and look here, what it does is it correlates this specific item to this operation code, and it allows me to quickly tweak this and say, this is going to be 15 minutes, and then say update and add it to the bill of materials. So obviously I'm not going to do that today, but you can just see how quickly you can add an operation of cutting in, and you can kind of pull things together fairly quickly. So that's the first thing, is that we can have these predefined operations, and then we can go in and we can tweak them in order to get them to the specific need that this specific item that we're making has. So that's one way of doing it. The other way is it's very easy to take an Excel spreadsheet and right-click on a tab and say copy this sheet, move it to a new workbook, or move it to a new sheet, and then you can work up your estimate that way. So I'm going to show you how I can do that with the item master. So if I go into the item master here, and if I have this as my quote template, or as I made this item for the customer, but they want me to, add a tweak to it, I can simply go into the item master, I can right-click, and I can duplicate this. So now everybody knows this is SAP Business One functionality, where you can duplicate an item. One of the things that Business One doesn't do is this. When I add this item, Business One adds that item. But then you have to go in and go to the bill of material, pull that item in, define the bill of material, and it's just a lot of steps. So I'm going to duplicate this item that we made in the past and, put an end piece on it or whatever it is, or take a quote template and, modify it very quickly. And I'm going to hit add, and you're going to notice here that, it's going to give me a warning about costs. And then it says, do you want to duplicate the bill of material from this item to the new product? And I'm going to say yes. And now, very quickly, I have this item set up. Oops. I have this item set up, and then within this item, I have my bill of material defined that is defined off of that item, and I can go in and tweak this and make it, however I want. So if I needed to add a little bit more material or different material, I can very, very quickly do that. So that's one of the first pieces of functionality that make-to-order organizations really like, is the ability to duplicate an item and quickly kind of pull it together. The rest of it is really the foundation of our algorithms and how all of that pulls together. So I spent about 15 minutes now up front on kind of the foundation of things. So now let's get into actually executing a sales order and or a quote. It doesn't really matter where I start. The important thing is we go in, we choose a customer, we put in a delivery date of when the customer wants the item. So if I say 12/31, and then if I go and add that item, the P1001 item here, we can set up how many items we want. So let's just say 100. And now there's a couple different ways. You can see this unit price of 402.36 is in the item. There's a couple of different ways that we can get that price into the system. One is that we can do that when we're doing our bill of material. When we're doing our workup of our bill of material, I can simply go in here, and we've added a lot of functionality. And again, you can join our webinar to see, but basically we have algorithms here that calculate cost based off of different types of field costs that are coming in. So you can see here that we have material costs that we're going to pull in, job costs like setup time, job cost time, and teardown time. And, you know, we can factor in overhead and all these different types of things in order to come up with a cost calculation. I'm going to run calculate just to show you that I can do this at the bill of material level, and then I'll show you that we can also do this at the sales order level. So what happens is it goes through and it looks at all the components, and then it warns me if there's any items that don't have a cost. And you can see this one, I don't have a cost, and I'm just showing you that just very quickly so you can see you know, that it's going through and it's looking at everything very, very fast. And it's come up and it said, you know, the last time you calculated prices, this is what I calculated, and this is what I'm calculating now. And I always get asked, do we save those prices so that historically we can go and look at them? The answer is yes. It's within here. If we go into our production, you can see here that we have all of our historical cost calculations here. List of calculated bill of materials from the past. So we can go back and reference things and look at what's changing within things. But this is all well and good that it's calculated these prices, but how did it do it? So here it takes each item and it derives through all of the different cost fields that we capture, and it calculates a cost, and then it takes the rules that we have to it and, you know, pulls together a markup and then gives us a manufacturing cost. So on a material, we can, you know, allocate overhead. On an operation, it actually looks at the amount of work and the overhead, and then it gives you a cost, but it also shows you the amount of time that that line is going to take because we define the time. Now, people ask, well, what's this manufacturing cost? Well, it's things like electricity or tools or work per hour that we define with the customer in order to pull everything together. So again, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but it's important for you to understand that we have algorithms that are going through and helping define price lists. So you can see here we can define our manufacturing cost, we can define a minimum sales price, and we can define a calculated sales price. So depending on the price list and the business partner that's involved, you can have different price lists kind of evolve, and you can set up, you know, thresholds that, you know, stop any sales order that goes below $270 and those types of things. So I just wanted to show you that that's where that calculated sales price is coming from. Now, depending on the organization, some organizations will do that up front when they're defining the bill of material. Others, we can simply go in here and I can calculate the sales order right from here, and it's going to do the exact same thing where you can calculate your sales price from the sales order. So I'll show you that in a second just so you can kind of see it as well. Now, the other thing that make-to-order companies really care about is the customer is telling me that they need this 1231, but I have no idea as a salesperson whether or not I can do that without me going and walking the floor and going and talking to the production manager, you know, without me going and talking to purchasing to see if we can get items in on time. So what we've done is we've defined this MRP date down here. And this MRP date is kind of like an available to promise. You can see here that it's saying, you know, if you're making 100 of these based off of, you know, what I know, I can have these ready on December 2nd for you. Now, I'm just going to show you if I change this to 1,000 units, this is going to go out and it's going to, you know, change it to 1218. So I'm going to make this 10,000 units because if you remember, one of those operations had like 25 minutes to it. So you can see very quickly this is going to go out into September 2017 just because of, you know, the way that things are set up. So if you end up with an order like that, you're going to get the visibility to that, hey, you have a problem here, and then you can sit down as a team and try and figure out exactly, you know, how to pull this together. So I'm just going to pause right now and talk about, there's also different ways that we can get a sales order into the system. So we could DTW it in, we could use a configurator like CIS and get an item in. know that basically we can pick up and run with all of this information as we go. You can also see up here this delivery date goes red if this MRP date is outside of the dates there. You know, just so that I can show you that, you know, if it's within the threshold, it's going to be the 31st, and if it's beyond, it's going to turn that red. So I'm going to add the sales order right now, and nothing special happened, right? Like, it's just I added the sales order. Now, if I go in and look at this again, I can go in and I can calculate my prices on this. So I'll just show you that quickly, just to show you that it's running the same algorithm. Now, depending on permissions, you might not be allowed to see all these different types of things, but basically you can see here that, you know, it's saying this is the price that you should take, and if you wanted, depending on permissions again, we can actually get very deep into the calculation of, you know, that structure. So this is just showing you that it's pulling that same structure right from the sales order, so that you can actually go through and look and you know, accept the prices and those types of things. So that's the first thing that happened. The other thing that happens with make-to-order organizations is it depends on how they plan. Some want a one-to-one relationship. When we get a sales order, the next thing that happens is it goes to order admin, and order admin's going to, you know, create the production order and any long lead purchase orders that are going to happen. So I can simply do that by right-clicking here, and I can do the MTO planning here. So you can see I have MTO planning, and what this does is it brings up this little selection criteria that says, you know, in the sales order you have one line that is make-to-order planning, and it's for this item. Now, I'm just going to show you that some organizations aren't going to do a one-to-one relationship. Some might take all the sales orders from yesterday or at the end of the day and, you know, gather them together. So you can see here, if I go to MRP, I have make-to-order scenario here, and it's going to pull up the exact same screen here, and you can see I can load all the orders based off of, you know, different codes or customers or item groups. And I can load in all of the orders that have happened in my system that are make-to-order items. And you can see this flash for a few seconds. And you can see here, this is the sales order that we're working on right now. It's going to fall into the criteria as well. Obviously, I'm not going to do that today. We're just going to focus on one-to-one relationship here. But just know that if your prospect does, or if you're being a customer that uses SAP Business One, does want to do, you know, kind of a make-to-order scenario for everything at the end of the day or the end of the week, you know, plan the week, we can facilitate that as well. So I'm going to hit add here, and what it's going to do is, you can see here, it's just running an MRP right now, and it's come up and it said, okay, well, based off of what I know, here's the items that are showing up that need to be made. And if you remember, that's because these items have that little MTO on it. And if you remember, this M1001 item was also marked as a item that we wanted to buy. And, you know, depending, you know, if you wanted it to be purchase requests or purchase quotations instead of purchase orders, we can do that. You know, I just have purchase orders because it's easy. And you can see here that it's done a few things. It's gone in and it's logically dropped in the dates of when certain orders need to be finished in order to make the master item. So that's the first thing. And the other thing it's done is it's looked at these items and it said, you know, these are the dates that we're going to need these items. Now, some people might be saying, well, why is that item there twice? Well, the reason that item is there twice is that it's used in this item here, this S915, and then it's also used in, I think, the threaded end. Bill of material. No, sorry. It's used in the end fitting here. You can see there, this material is used in this end fitting as well. So that's why we have the different dates that are showing up here, because it's correlating itself into those orders. Now over here you can actually see, you know, the dates that things should begin based off of it dropping it into the schedule here. And for a salesperson, this becomes really nice because I can see, you know, the dates. I can see the sales order lines that are tied to it, but I can also see the status once I actually execute this. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to create these orders, and I'm going to create 3 production orders and 1 purchase order with 2 lines with different dates on it. And now what's happening is it's dropping this into kind of the plan, and it's going to look and see if there's any capacity issues, because when we did the sales quote or the sales order and we ran that MRP date, a lot of things happen within job shops that are going to change that. You might have a delay on a machine, you might have somebody call in sick, that are going to kind of affect our job scheduling. So if we go and look at the sales order now, and this is one of the things that Business One just completely falls down on, is there's just no relationship map of tying all of this information together into seeing, what the production orders are, where are they planned, are they released, and having to link all of this together. And you can see here that it's logically put in logic that says, well, you need to make this item, then you need to make this item, then you need to make the parent item. Whereas if you do this with Standard Business One, and if you run MRP, it's just going to make everything with a due date of 12/31, and then you're going to have to go in and tweak and modify that, or define a formatted search that looks at the different rules and pulls all of that together. So you can see that it's doing that for us. It's putting that logic in. And we can go in now, and I can go into the MTO procurement orders screen here, and I can actually see, here's the sales order, here's the production orders that got created, here's the purchase order that got created, and I can see if there's any completed quantities, what's planned, I can see the dates, and I can also go over here and I can see the release date and the release time that this is going to hit the shop floor. And we can see that if this changes as things, as the production manager jumps in and starts planning and moving things around, we'll be able to see that kind of happen. So that's the first thing. Now, the other thing that happens is if I'm doing production order management and I want to release these production orders, it's a huge pain to have to go in to open production orders, go here, change this to release, hit update, go to the next one, change it to release, hit update. So what we've done is we've built a little production management cockpit. And this production management cockpit allows you to search and filter, by different criteria. I did it right from the make to order scenario. So what it did is it just pulled in the manufactured items for this. And you can see here, here's my sales order, here's my production orders. These are all planned right now. This is the item that I'm making. This is the planned quantities. And based off of algorithm, this is the earliest due date that we could finish items. This is the earliest begin date that we could start making things. So you can see here that some of these items we can start making today, and some I have to wait till 11/25, either because of lead time or because this manufactured item needs to be made before I do it. And we can also do forward or backward planning here. And this is showing the forward or backward calculations here. Okay. So again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on manufacturing execution today, but if I go here and say select, I can change the selected here, and I can change all of these to released. I can update this, and then I can recalculate this, and now this is going to drop them into the actual schedule. And it's going to give me a warning if there's any items that I have capacity issues with, if something's changed, and I did that on purpose. Here I have a work center that I have some problems with, so it can't allocate to either of the work centers. So I need to go in and modify or tweak things. And again, I did that on purpose just so that you can kind of see, that we can have warnings if there's work centers that we have capacity issues on, so that we can go and add overtime if we need to, or those types of things. So if we go back into the sales order now and look at all of this, we can go in and look at the MTO procurement graph, and we can now see this is the plan of when things are being dropped into the plan and the items that are being made and any of the purchase orders. And you can see a percent complete as things are getting completed. We'll be able to see the percent complete behind all of this. And if we go back into the MTO procurement orders screen, we can actually see, the production orders. We can see if they're released or, what the status is of them. So you can see these are released now. So if we go into the purchase order now And I'll just do a goods receipt PO quickly just to show you how sales can be in the loop here of everything that's happening. If we go do a goods receipt PO here, and if I, add, let's just say I add 50 of these items here and hit add, everything's happening within here. So if I just refresh this, we can see here that, I've got our purchase orders. I can see how many units we've completed of that, and I can see the status of that document, if it's open or closed. All of that information is coming through to the salesperson, so I don't have to run around and bug purchasing. I don't have to run around and bug the production manager and pull all those different types of things together. So I'm going to show you a sales order here now, sales order number 406 here. And this is an order where some quantities have been completed already. So if we go in and look at the MTO procurement graph here, we can actually see, this is the plan of when things are being dropped in on the dates. And I can see that we're 50% complete this top line item of the P1001 because we've completed, 50 of the 100 there. And you can see that the planned end date of that is November 28th, or no, November 17th, sorry, today. So that in a high level is kind of the make to order and how easy it is to link sub-assemblies, long lead purchases, and tying all of the information into the production management execution. So when we talk about production management execution, if we just kind of go back and go through, all of the different things, we can run our job scheduling control panel and invite you to come and join our regular webinar to see how we can go in and change. I don't know if you saw, I had that one work center that I had a problem with. So we can go through and we could actually go and reschedule things and move things around within our job scheduling control panel here. We can lock down certain things on certain dates so that I can automatically or semi-automatically control my job schedule. And we can see everything that is happening. And we also have a shop floor data collector that allows you to do shop floor data collection of, moving inventory, completing job times, but it also has the ability to do quality inspections, so check thicknesses, check for conformities, those types of things, and put it into 3 different buckets. Is it good? Is it rejected? Or is it repairable? And then it's going to move those items or the components and costs into warehouses based off of those outputs. So if I go into the production, and I'm just going to open up the job scheduling control panel here very quickly just to show you in a make-to-order organization when orders are getting parachuted in and you're rushing things through in order to meet requirements for customers, it becomes really difficult to kind of gain visibility to everything that's happening. So we have a couple different things that allow us to kind of see what's going on. One is that we have this resource usage chart, and I can run MRP right from this, or I can pull in planned orders as well. And this is going to give me visibility into the capacities of my plant overall, and how much free time I have. But I can also go in and I can look at this by a certain work center. So if you remember, I got that error for a certain work center, so I can call up that work center code, and we can actually go in and look at that work center specifically, and we can fill in and see where there might be holes within the schedule, and we can change dates on a production order or, rush materials in order to maximize capacity. So you can see here that, we have holes where we have free time, and we can see that, basically this assembly department is kind of booked out until the 30th of November, and then it kind of frees up here about halfway through the day. We start to get some free time within our department here. I can go in and I can remove the allocated just to see the free time and the holes within the free time. So if we have large things, maybe we can create a production order to make some components or something that we can put on a shelf that we know that we're going to use later in order to maximize capacity. So this is a tool for kind of, filling in things and also looking at bottlenecks. So, should we buy a new drill press? And if the drill press is booked through to the end of December, then yes, we should. So this report gives us that capability. Now on the job scheduling control panel, we can look at this by employee, tool, or work center, and we can see what's scheduled for what employees or what what specific tools, and it all ties together into these work centers up here. And again, you can drag and drop, and you can lock things down on certain dates. We can look at these different production orders by different colors. So do I want to look at it by product? Do I want to look at it by make-to-order scenario? So tie all the make-to-order stuff together so I can look at it all by the make-to-order colors so that you can see, why are we doing this here and then this? So, why don't we just move this over here and move these back there? So you can kind of do the drag and drop. The other thing that we can do is when we created that make-to-order, it created a make-to-order scenario here. So we could actually filter this for just that make-to-order scenario that we just did, and we can actually see it on the schedule here. You see that here? And I could go and I could drag this back here, drop it into the schedule somewhere else, and recalculate this. The other thing that it's doing is it's going to show me if there's any operations that I'm doing before other operations. It's going to show me that relationship here, showing me, these are all kind of convoluted and out of order. And this allows you to kind of go in and say, yeah, well, I can drag this out here and, move it. You can see how everything's kind of tied together when I'm doing this drag and drop, into the schedule. It's going to allow me to kind of control that. And then when I recalculate, it's going to recommit all those things and kind of give you that visibility to the relationship again. So that concludes kind of the high-level make-to-order requirements of organizations where we have a sales order and we need to be able to take an item, quickly make a bill of material, make a production order, gain visibility to our when can we promise it, calculate a sales price on it, and also see how the shop floor is interacting with it and how sales gets that information. I touched at a high level as far as how a production manager would control and manage the production orders, but I do invite you to join our webinar on the BX manufacturing, where we spend a little bit more time on dragging and dropping the schedule, on looking at that production management cockpit. We dive a little bit deeper into the shop floor data collection on things like this QC and shop floor data collection like this, so that you can see how everything kind of ties together. But we really did want to have a webinar that shows how easy it is to run make to order, and how the relationship map and all of those things that are difficult in Business One are kind of overcome within the BX manufacturing solution with the make to order turned on. I'm going to stop recording now, and I'll just open it up to question and answer for the next 10 minutes.